Hi, Dr. Mathur. Thank you for joining us today to talk about your experience at Juniata College and how you were here both as a student and now as a professor. And we're really just curious to hear how you've observed the atmosphere at Juniata and the climate changing in terms of how the LGBTQIA community is both treated and accepted, just in terms of that.
Sure. Thanks for asking. It has changed astronomically since my time as a student. I was here from 1992 to 1996, and one of the main changes is there weren't that many letters. LGBTQI, we didn't even have all those letters. In terms of my experiences, how they've changed, when I was a student here, I didn't know any gay people that were out.
Okay.
I knew a lot of gay people who weren't out. And I didn't really know, they didn't come out until well after they left Juniata. It was just not, we're talking 92 to 96, it's not that far ago, I'm not that old, but at the time, some of my dearest, closest friends on my basketball team that hung out with us all the time in dorms never spoke of their sexual orientations, never. And, looking back now that they're out and living the lives that they should be living, you kind of look back and say, wow, I should have been more sensitive to that. I should have noticed. I should have been more open. But it wasn't even a question of us thinking whether we were open or not. It wasn't that we consciously thought, I don't like gay people. People on this campus didn't talk about it. We had a student who was a friend of mine, and I'm just going to call her Kay for now. Kay was in most of my English classes, and especially Judy's classes. And Judy's classes often read things like orange is not the only fruit, and things like that. So she introduced us to ways that we could talk about homosexuality and to understand different sexual orientations and things, which, I went to Catholic school. We didn't talk about that. Yeah. So it was very different for me to learn about ways to talk about it, ways to think about it. And Kay was in all of these classes, and any time we talked about any kind of literature that included some kind of homosexual action or vocabulary, anything, she would go crazy. Very defensive about not approving. Right. Well, here we found out years later that Kay was in a relationship that was open to the public. She was living with her partner, and she had come out to her family. We never knew the struggle. We never thought about it. We just thought she was closed-minded. She wasn't. She was closeted. I was with her every single day because she was also on my basketball team. Every single day I was with her, never knew, never thought to ask, because it just wasn't something you talk about. Now we look back and think, if we would have been more aware, how differently we could have supported them.
Yeah.
I think about that now because as a professor here and seeing the difference, and now you see students, gay students walking, holding hands on campus, talking, oh, last weekend my boyfriend and I did this, or last weekend my girlfriend and I did that. And it's completely normal, and you don't even say, what? Where 20 years ago, we didn't think about questioning the possibility of someone being gay. Now, I have students going, I don't question why you would be. You know what I'm saying? What we don't question now is completely different. I had 2 students in the class of 2006 who I worked with constantly. After they graduated, they came back and told me right away that they had not come out on campus because they didn't feel comfortable. And I was so sad because I thought, what did I do to make you not feel comfortable? So we talked, both of us, all 3 of us, we had 2 separate conversations, 2 different times. And they said nothing that you did, it was just the whole campus. I didn't feel comfortable coming out, and I didn't feel like I could come out on part of campus and not others. I just thought it'd be best not to come out at all. And that was in 2006. So we were understanding some of the different changes in society and seeing them here, but it's still, there was still that kind of, I'm not sure if this is a safe place yet. As I said, now I think most people, at least outwardly, will be much more willing to see it as normal. and not feel that this isn't a safe place. I see more students feeling comfortable being who they are, watching people have these panels, the LGBTQIA, the AWOL panels, to educate. That would not have happened when I was here as a student. Wouldn't even have happened maybe 10 years ago. But straight talk, those types of things, where people can learn in a safe environment and people can share their experiences in a safe environment. To me, that's a wonderful thing, and it's very heartening to me to see that, because I feel like I'm a better professor because of it, because I know the students, I know the issues, and we can freely talk about them. I think now we can have the kind of conversations that we should be having without fear, and again, not totally, but I see it. It's completely different.
So you mentioned like Straight Talk and some other panels. Those are hosted by the group on campus AWOL, right? All Ways of Loving.
Mm-hmm.
And
which used to be Alternative Ways of Loving when it first was. Yes, that's the way we understood it, was Alternative Ways of Loving, and it was changed to All Ways of Loving because, again, the shift in seeing homosexuality as not normal. It's the alternative to normal, but no, it's all ways of loving, and there is no normal. It's just loving, and so that's a change too. And you have to remember too that our campus, not only in terms of students being more comfortable with sexualities and things, but the professors being more comfortable. I mean, we have professors on campus who weren't out themselves. Seeing professors who are out and who are living and thriving, and because I think even students who are still just coming into their own identities and feeling comfortable, seeing people who they can relate to in positions of power is important. And so I'm proud of Juniata for that. There's always progress to be made, and whenever you don't have to have a class about the rhetoric of coming out, when there is no process of I have to come out to you, that in itself tells you that there's more progress to be made, because I didn't have to come out as straight.
Right.
So
they've recently started putting in like gender neutral bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know kind of how that got started, and how do you feel about it?
I have a problem with dorm bathrooms no matter who's in it. I think they're all disgusting.
There's that.
I don't think sexuality has anything to do with how disgusting the bathrooms are on this campus. But I think some pioneering students, some strong students who felt very confident in their own rights and sexuality. Trailblazers always have to be strong and confident in themselves, and I think we've had several of those students over the past 10 years to really say, you know what, I'm not going to just, I shouldn't have to fight for these things, but I will, because then someone else won't have to fight for them. To me, like I said, bathrooms here, I don't think who's going to the bathroom in those spaces is the problem. Do I think everybody's accepted them? No. I mean, I don't know if you've ever read Yik Yak, but it's that anonymity, that I can say what I want without anybody knowing it, really breeds a lot of vitriol and prejudice and stereotyping. And so I think when you look at Yik Yak, you'll see that not everybody's really as enlightened as they might sound or say they are in classes. But then when they say, but how does that affect me? I still think that's where we have to have progress, because really someone else's sexuality doesn't have to affect you. And if they go to the bathroom in your bathroom, whether you're, it doesn't matter. But we're not there yet.